All right, and we're recording. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I am so honored to be doing a panel with the cast and creators of the play Every 28 Hours, which grapples with the contested 2015 statistic that every 28 hours a Black person is killed in the United States. This has been a labor of love for all these people in the room, in this Zoom room, and more. And so I'm just going to give them the opportunity to talk about the play that they've been working on, that they built together, and to also introduce themselves and kind of tell you guys more about themselves. So I'm going to start. I'll call on you guys in this case, one by one, so that you all know who I'm talking about. We'll start with my top left, Makiah. Can you introduce yourself and kind of tell a small snippet about the play?
Okay. Hi, I'm Makiah Hiley. I am a junior here at Oakland School for the Arts, and this play, it highlights the stories and also the underlying struggles of Black people in America specifically, and about not only the things that we go through, but also like our feelings within that space. And it's a creation of student created pieces and also movement pieces as well. So
Let's go to Tori next.
Hi, my name is Tori Roberson, and I am a freshman at Oakland School for the Arts. And about the play a little bit, it's like about our emotions of how we feel towards of what's been happening to us Black people, and with through movement, through storytelling, through dance, through vocals, and yeah.
Thank you. Also, if you guys could come and tell me your grades and your sub pathways. Makiah, what's your sub pathway?
I am a theater student.
And Tori?
I'm in musical theater.
Got you. Jordy, your turn.
Hi, my name is Jordan, but I can be called Jordy. I am a 10th grader here at OSA, and I'm a vocal student. I didn't already say that. I think this play, honestly, just like what Tori said, really just voices our emotions through like different visible pieces and things like that. And I think it's also one of like a good piece to like maybe not like say how we feel, but act how we feel with our bodies instead of verbally doing stuff like that. So I think it's just a great way to express ourselves.
Thank you. Let's pass it over to Kamani.
Hi, I'm Kamani. I'm a sophomore here at OSA. I am in theater, and this show is about the untold stories and untold truth of all of the Black community, of the murders of Black people in America, and us just showing our emotions through movement and vocals, as a lot of my fellow castmates have already said.
We're going to round it up with our last student, and then we're going to go to Miss Tavia next. So Sariah, I'll have you introduce yourself next.
Hi, my name is Sariah. I'm 14. I'm a freshman. My sub pathway is vocal. I think this show is just to represent like the mindset of Black people, or how we're feeling on a day-to-day basis, and how kind of it's like evolved through time, but like through art.
Thank you guys so much. I know you guys have put in so much work for this play, and none of this could have come to fruition without Miss Tavia, who has been amazing. So Tavia, I'm going to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself, who you are in all the different forms and iterations that you've been at OSA, because we know you've been here for a long time. And yeah, just tell us, what was the thinking as you what was the inspiration for this play?
Give me a second. I had to run and drop my kid off. Woo! All right. So my name is Tavia. I'm a theater teacher at OSA, and I have kind of been at OSA forever because I was a student there years and years ago, and I went from 7th to 12th grade. We were like the prototype of OSA. and I've come back to teach. I think the biggest reason why I decided to put a show like this together are the kids. They felt really, and not in any one sub-pathway, just in general, underrepresented on campus. And I think that it's important to highlight, especially, you know, after the 2020, the year we had in 2020, Black folks didn't just experience the pandemic, we also experienced the loss of Ahmaud Arbery, the loss of Taylor, and it was super traumatic. And a lot of kids were sitting in the house having to watch that, you know. And I think the biggest reason why I felt like this needed to be done is because I wanted to kind of lift those voices and create a space where these kids felt like they could truly talk about the stories and tell the stories that are most powerful and meaningful to them. So, yeah, I'm multitasking.
We appreciate you for being here, and also appreciate you for making sure that these stories are told. I wanted to start off with, I guess the question that I would like to start off with for everybody is, for you, why is this play so important? What is the importance of the messaging behind the play? And anybody who's ready to pop in can just go ahead and unmute and go for it.
I feel like it's important because I feel not everyone knows, like, some people only know who George Floyd is, and not everybody know like the different people who have been killed. And it's probably not important to some, but it's like, I feel like it's a bigger picture than just them being killed. It's like some unnecessary things has happened to them, and it's just like, you know, why? Like, that's really like why. Yeah, and I just feel like it's really important just to know and be educated on what's been happening and the truth behind what's been happening.
To piggyback off what Tori said, also with the height of the whole social media activism that's going on, not only do people not like only know about George Floyd, but I feel like people get stories misconstrued and people form very biased opinions, and people just go off of what other people are doing. Like, oh, this person died, I'm not going to do my research, I'm just going to retweet what I see. And the thing about it is that does not even scratch the surface about us as Black people and what we go through, you know, having to deal with all this crap that we have to deal with in America.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I think it's important for people, not only at OSA, but just like people in general, to be educated about like kind of what Tori said, like about stories that people don't know about, but just also like how Black people deal with stories like that, or just like how it kind of feels just to be a Black person in America, kind of, but like presented in a different way. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
Yes.
I agree with all of them. The importance of this show to me, honestly, though, I think it's more of like, I think I have to agree with all of them because it's like, it's just really showing like how we are as Black people, how we deal with stuff like that. And not to mention, some Black people will always like, I don't, what is that thing? Maybe like feel like other Black people are blaming the other Black person for what happened or something like that. And I know sometimes stuff like this going on and stuff, but I think it's more of like how we handle it and how it affects us mostly, and how it kind of like not separate us, but does separate us a little bit, because it's always like, no, he did this, and no, she did that, or no, it was just the police. It's a little bit of both, kind of.
I feel like it's
Yeah.
also important. Sorry, Miss Tavia. I feel like it's also important because oftentimes I've been in a few situations where people make it seem like we're dramatizing the situations, and we're making it something that it's not, when really all we're doing is bringing the truth to the light, and some people just can't accept the truth. But it's got to be the truth, or it's just like it's not.
Yeah, I was going to say that one thing that I think is most important, that I hope that the audience takes away, that it's not just, so we do highlight, these people who have been murdered, but the show is not intended to like trigger anything, or, well, I guess in a way it is, but not, it's not meant to be like trauma trigger. But I think one of the things that I think is most powerful about our show is that not only do we highlight these people who have been murdered, but we also talk about like the effects that, Jim Crow slavery had on the Black community. We talk about like the light versus dark issue. We deal with all the rules that Black folks have to follow just in general to survive, the rules that they have to, follow just to make it home to their parents. There's a really powerful poem delivered by Makiah Hiley where they're kind of talking about the light versus dark, but like that's not necessarily intended for white folks. That's like, we got to stop that ourselves, right? So we have these conversations, like it's a bunch of different scenes, compilation of scenes, but it's also this thing where it's like, it's no one subject. We try to touch on a little bit of everything that Black folks are dealing with. And I think that's the most powerful part of the show, is that there's a little bit of everything. And I think there's a little bit of everyone's experience, because all Black people don't have the same experience too. So yeah.
One thing that I wanted to lift up is that these pieces are centering Blackness and Black people. I think a lot of times our pain and our trauma is not taken away from us, but it is spread out to the entire nation, to the entire community, how this affects everybody. But our pain is not seen, and our experiences are not seen. And so one thing I really appreciate about every 28 hours is that it is things that like really are pertinent in the Black community, things that are pertinent to everybody, things that are pertinent to other people of color, and so on and so forth. And so one question I had for Miss Tavia is a fact that I know is that every person who was involved in this play is Black. Is that correct? Can you tell me why was that important to you?
I wanted to have a Black show. Mostly because I feel like Black people at OSA this year have had a really hard run. It's been a really interesting year for Black folks on campus. And I think that because of the heaviness of the things that we're dealing with, it's easier to do that within your own folks. And I think what's so funny is like most of these kids didn't really know each other like that. They didn't, and even though these, like I said, the show is heavy, but like now when I look at them, how family they are now, and they have other Black kids on campus that they could go to, and like, like that was important to me, to build community so that they felt like they had each other. And so that was a really big aspect for me of like, if everybody's Black, there's a Black community. There's at least a small enough community, but a big enough community where they feel safe. I knew that in that room where it's nothing but Black people, they felt safe. They felt like they could say what they wanted to say. They didn't feel like they had to censor anything. There were times where they were crying. There were times where I was crying. There were times where they were mad. There were times where, you know what I mean? And they'll get mad at each other, and then the next day they're like, all right, I'm fine. Maybe 5 minutes, especially Tori. But so that to me was important, that we built this like really strong community of Black folks, whether it be students, teachers, even parents are part of that community now. It's a really good feeling. So that's why.
Can I talk back on what Tavia said? I like the fact that she said that we feel safe, because we do. Like, I didn't know half of these kids like before this happened. Like I didn't know anybody, and well, I knew Kamani, but she was yeah. Um, I think it brought us together, like for real. Like none of us really knew each other like that, and when we got together in a play, it was all awkward until we finally, got together, and it was like it brought us together. Like it, not maybe not every Black person is here, but at least the people who actually care about voicing how they feel is here, and we are brought together, and we're like this now. We really love each other, even though they can be really annoying, but it's okay. Um, it brought us together, and I think that's what I enjoyed most of this because it's not just like a regular play like you're there just to do a play. It's here because one, it's an educational purpose thing. Two, we have fun while actually having this. Like it's not just like, okay, do this and then leave. It's not like that. It's like we all fun. We have fun together. We always go out. We do, we chill. We're not like just regular classmates. Okay. We like family kind of, and it brought us together.
Thank you so much for that. I'm curious, what other things do you guys think that you are taking away from this experience as playwrights, as actors, as artists, and as activists, and as people? Like, you don't have to answer every single one, but like, what is standing out for you? What are the things that you're taking away from having had this experience over the last, 6 months?
I feel like me emotionally connecting to like what we were doing, because I know like Tavia, she would push us hard. She'd be like, I need you guys to connect, and you guys to connect. And at first I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to emotionally connect to this. Like because I'm not in their shoes, I don't know how to feel. And it's like, but now as we've been rehearsing, and it's like she's been talking to us and we've been watching different things. It's like, okay, so I know what happened in this specific time. Okay, now I can like, I know what to feel now. Now it's like, I'm saying like how to emotionally connect to what's happening. Now I know how to like, okay, this is how I'm feeling. So yeah.
I think. Oh, okay. I think for me personally, this show has taught me just how to learn to become comfortable with people in a way, because I'm a really shy person. I'm a vocalist, but don't ask me to sing in front of you. Like that was my mindset, like when I first came here now. But it's like now, since I've learned to become comfortable, especially with people within my community, it's like I'm realizing that I'm going to have to learn to do that a lot more, especially if I'm want to be involved in the arts as a career when I get older. I think it also just taught me like a deeper meaning, because like I've heard these stories, but not so much to an extent where it's like I have to put myself in a situation where I have to think if that could be me in the next possible years or not. So I just think it really taught me a lot, like it opened my eyes a little bit, kind of.
Let me ask you guys a question. So you guys have talked about how making this play, being a part of this play, has brought joyfulness, community, safety, for just the people who have been involved. Nobody's even seen it yet, and you guys are already uplifted. How do you think that a piece like this can unify or strengthen an entire Black community, specifically our community out here in Oakland, with all the racial history that we have?
Like I said, ignorance spreads faster than knowledge, but if you can bring people in a room and really gather their attention and teach them about, knowledge, I feel like with knowledge that can unify us as a people. And it could be like, and it's not just like when we all said before, it's not just aimed towards white people. Like it's allowing for us to like look at ourselves in the mirror and be like, okay, this is some stuff we got to work on, because once that conversation starts, it's hard to stop it, as we see like with social media, like, the conversation, even though I'm not going to say that I agree with the contents of the conversation, or like maybe like it's not as informative. I feel like it's very biased and one-sided, but when you really sit down and really take a look in the mirror and say like, okay, this is not good, but this is good. We need to do this. I feel like it will start that meaningful conversation and it will just go on.
I think what Makiah is saying to me is it can either make or break Black people, okay? It can either hurt them and they will just, go on with it, or it'll teach them, and then they'll learn from the mistakes, they'll learn from the problems that they endure and stuff like that, and they won't keep doing the same thing and stuff like that. And I know we got some work to do too. Like all of us in here, we got some work to do too, but they also do too. So it's like this. I think that this is more of like a message rather than play, because if nobody else did this, then how would we ever know that we was doing something wrong too? Like how would the word get out? So Makiah, I agree with her with the knowledge thing. It can ignorance spread faster than knowledge, because some people don't know how to accept their mistakes and some people don't know how to change them either.
I'm curious. So this is it's heavy, right? We're talking about violence against Black bodies that has withstood the test of time and that we hope to mitigate, but still exists today. How do you guys find joy in this type of in preparing this type of production?
Personally, me, I find joy with just, being with my people, being with my friends and stuff like that. Like, it's not always gonna be about happiness and stuff, but we find the little things that makes us happy, and just each other being in each other's presence is like, it makes my day feel better, because I know if I'm around the people that I love, obviously I'm gonna feel better. And I find the joy in just knowing that they're with me, they have my back, I have their back. And this isn't just like one of those things where you got to do it. This is one of those things where you wasn't forced on this, and you just have fun with your friends and family and stuff like that. So I think that's how we find the joy. Well, that's how I find the joy in making this, because it's telling people, it's telling us what this is about, and it's also uniting us in the same way.
I agree with Jordan, because like it's not like, yeah, we've had our sad moments and stuff, but it's not always sad. It's like really like being in rehearsals. It's not always, oh, we gotta work, 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 work. It's actually like we find like the funness in it. It's like we find the happiness and funness and stuff like that. It's not always, it's not stressful. It's like, oh, I gotta go to rehearsal today. Oh, I don't feel like going to rehearsal today. It's like, okay, I'm looking forward to going to rehearsal today. And the fact that we've been working on this for a long time, and it's just crazy. Like we're about to perform this now, so it's like it's crazy. Like it's like, oh my god, we're really about to perform this, and it's like it's gonna be like after we perform, it's like, dang, it's not gonna be no more rehearsals anymore. It's like like it's gonna be like, what am I about to do? I'm gonna have no rehearsals no more. Like, but I feel like out of rehearsal, we need to like make sure we do stick together. So like out of rehearsal, like make sure we still hang out with each other, make sure we still have each other back, because I know at the end of the day, even though I became mad at them, I'm still gonna have their back. So yeah.
I think it was really just about finding the joy in my community. That's one of the things that I always am like proud of myself for, is like opening up to them, because if not, like I don't know how rehearsal would be for me. I remember at first when I wasn't really talking to anybody, I was never looking forward to rehearsal. I would always try and skip or not want to go. But now it would be like now, since I feel like I've connected with them, it's like, especially them being like me, like me being in my community with them, it's like I'm looking forward to see them versus me like not seeing them at all.
I would say we find joy in like, you know, they make me laugh so hard. Like they'll do something, like if they make a mistake, we don't get mad. I mean, I get mad. Let me not make it seem like I don't be going off. But especially like in the beginning, we would just laugh a lot. Like we found the moments where we would laugh and like have a good time. You know, I like to have fun, especially when we're doing a show like this where it can be like heavy all the time. So I try not to have it be like a heavy environment. We try to make it fun. Like they do this like Soul Train thing, and they be trying to dance, and it's funny. Um, they're just, you know, they're great kids, so that we laugh all the time. So I feel like we find joy in that. We find joy in like, we've done like a couple of like outside performances and field trips, where we kind of like traveled and, you know, go places, and, you know, we try to find moments where we can bond more, but like not just over the trauma, like over laughter, over food, over stuff like that. So yeah.
I want to thank you guys for memorializing, for honoring, for remembering, and for saying the names of these people. We forget about the Sandra Blands, we forget about the Trayvon Martins after the news cycle hits. And so when we're thinking about Black lives, and all Black lives, we're thinking about the lives of Black men and Black women and Black trans people and Black gender nonconforming folks and Black Christians and Black Muslims and Black agnostics and Black atheists, Black children, Black adults. We're talking about all of us. And so in you all doing this play, you are helping, allowing folks to see us in all of our beauty and all of our differences. And you're allowing us to see us and see ourselves in each other. So thank you so much for this play. Thank you so much for this work. Ms. Tavia, thank you so much for making it happen, because it wouldn't have been without any of you. I really appreciate you guys taking the time. And I'm excited for all the love you're gonna get when everybody gets to see the work that you guys did. So we're gonna sign off. You can, you know, wave at the people. And we will see you guys on Every 28 Hours.